Calcium has always been promoted as the king of minerals for strong bones. From childhood, we are told to drink milk, eat dairy, and take supplements for better bone health. But science has revealed something very important. Calcium alone does not always protect the body. In fact, when taken in isolation, it can even become harmful. Imagine calcium as loose building blocks. If these blocks are not placed in the right location, they can scatter. They may build walls in the wrong areas of the body. This is why, too, much calcium, without proper balance, has been linked to serious health problems. Research shows that excess calcium can deposit inside arteries. This process is called vascular calcification. When arteries stiffen with calcium deposits, blood cannot flow smoothly. The result is a higher risk of heart attack, stroke, and high blood pressure. Calcium can also accumulate in the kidneys. Here it mixes with oxalate or phosphate and forms kidney stones. These stones cause pain, infections, and even long-term kidney damage. So the question is, if calcium is essential for bones, why does it sometimes damage the heart, brain, and kidneys? The answer is that calcium alone has no guidance system. It needs a partner. It needs vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 is a fat-soluble vitamin found in certain animal and fermented foods. It is different from vitamin K1, which mainly helps blood clotting. Vitamin K2 has a special role. It tells calcium exactly where to go. It acts like a traffic officer or like an architect directing workers on a construction site. Inside the body, vitamin K2 activates proteins that control calcium. The first protein is called osteocalcin. Osteocalcin helps take calcium from the blood and lock it tightly into the bone matrix. This action increases bone density and makes bones less likely to fracture. Studies in the Netherlands have shown that people with higher intake of vitamin K2 have stronger bones and lower fracture rates as they age. The second protein is called matrix Gley protein, or MGP. This protein works in blood vessels. When activated by vitamin K2, it stops calcium from depositing in arteries and soft tissues. In simple words, MGP keeps calcium out of places where it does not belong. This protects arteries from hardening and keeps the heart safe. So calcium provides the material, but vitamin K2 provides the blueprint. One without the other creates imbalance. Together, they create health. Let's look at some active ingredients in common calcium foods. Milk and yogurt give calcium along with protein and lactose, which helps absorption. Leafy greens like kale contain calcium plus magnesium and vitamin C, which support bone metabolism. Seeds like chia provide plant-based calcium with fiber and omega-3 fatty acids, which reduce inflammation. But when you eat these calcium-rich foods without vitamin K2 sources, much of the calcium may circulate aimlessly. That is why including foods like egg yolks, aged cheeses, liver, and certain fermented foods is so important. These are the richest natural sources of vitamin K2. They complement the calcium and ensure it is used correctly. For example, a study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that women with the highest vitamin K2 intake had a 30 to 50% lower risk of hip fractures compared to those with the lowest intake. Another long-term study called the Rotterdam study followed over 4,000 people for 10 years. It showed that higher vitamin K2 intake reduced the risk of severe artery calcification, heart disease, and early death. This evidence proves one thing. Taking calcium supplements without vitamin K2 is like hiring workers without giving them a map. They may build walls in the wrong place, but when vitamin K2 is present, calcium builds a strong skeleton and keeps the cardiovascular system clean and flexible. So the lesson is clear. Calcium is important, but it cannot work alone. It requires vitamin K2 for proper direction. When they work together, calcium strengthens bones and teeth, while vitamin K2 protects the heart, brain, and kidneys. This is the foundation of real bone health. Not just piling more calcium into the body, but combining it with vitamin K2-rich foods. That is the natural way to achieve balance. Support the channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing. Your one click can spread health to someone in need. Now that we understand the danger of calcium without direction, let us explore powerful food pairs. Each pair combines calcium-rich food with a natural source of vitamin K2. Together, they create harmony for bones and protection for the whole body. When we think about bone health, many people immediately imagine a glass of milk or a bowl of yogurt. These foods are indeed rich in calcium, the mineral that gives bones their hardness and structure. But what most people don't realize is that calcium is not enough on its own. It must be paired with vitamin K2 so that it ends up in the skeleton instead of the arteries. One of the simplest and most powerful ways to achieve this is by combining Greek yogurt with eggs. Greek yogurt is a concentrated form of dairy. Through the straining process, most of the liquid whey is removed. This makes Greek yogurt much denser in protein and nutrients compared to regular yogurt. One single cup of plain Greek yogurt contains about 200 to 250 milligrams of calcium. That is nearly 1/4 of the daily requirement for an average adult. But the benefits do not stop there. Greek yogurt also provides around 15 to 20 grams of protein. This protein is mostly casein and whey, both of which supply essential amino acids needed to build collagen within the bone matrix. Collagen acts like the soft framework on which calcium crystals are deposited. Without adequate protein, bones can become brittle even if calcium levels are high. Greek yogurt also contains probiotics, the beneficial bacteria that support gut health. These probiotics help improve absorption of minerals like calcium and magnesium. A healthy gut means stronger nutrient uptake and better overall metabolism. In addition, yogurt contains B vitamins such as riboflavin and B12, which play roles in energy metabolism and red blood cell formation. All of these factors together make Greek yogurt a bone-friendly food. But Greek yogurt alone does not solve the problem of calcium misdirection. This is where eggs, especially the yolks, come into the picture. Egg yolk is one of the richest natural sources of vitamin K2. Pasture-raised eggs can contain up to 10 times more K2 than conventional eggs. This form of K2 is called menaquinone 4, or MK4. It is the active type that quickly enters tissues and activates the proteins responsible for calcium regulation. The yolk also provides vitamin D, which enhances calcium absorption from the intestines into the bloodstream. It contains choline, which supports brain health, and omega-3 fatty acids when the hens are pasture-raised. These active ingredients make eggs not just a protein source, but a complete nutrient package. The action of K2 in eggs is remarkable. Once consumed, K2 activates osteocalcin in bone-forming cells called osteoblasts. This protein then binds calcium tightly and embeds it into the bone. Think of it as the cement that locks calcium bricks into place. At the same time, K2 activates matrix Gley protein in blood vessels. This protein prevents calcium from sticking to arterial walls. So the egg yolk acts as a manager, directing calcium from yogurt straight into the skeleton while guarding the arteries and heart. Studies back this up. In 2017, researchers reviewed the role of vitamin K2 and found strong evidence that MK4 improves bone mineral density and reduces fracture risk, especially in older adults. Another trial in Japan showed that supplementation with vitamin K2 significantly reduced vertebral fractures in postmenopausal women. These findings confirm that K2 is not just a minor vitamin, but a critical partner of calcium. Now imagine having a breakfast that combines these two foods. A bowl of Greek yogurt topped with boiled eggs or mixed into a savory dish. The calcium from yogurt supplies the raw material. The protein supports collagen building. The vitamin K2 from egg yolks acts as the traffic controller, guiding calcium into the right place. Together, they create stronger bones, healthier arteries, and a balanced metabolism. There is also a heart benefit. Calcium without K2 can sometimes increase the risk of arterial stiffness, but when paired with egg yolk K2, studies show reduced vascular calcification. This means better blood flow, lower risk of heart attack, and more flexibility in the circulatory system. Some people avoid eggs because of cholesterol fear. But modern research shows that dietary cholesterol has a much smaller impact on blood cholesterol than previously thought. In fact, eggs can increase levels of HDL, the good cholesterol, which protects the heart. When combined with yogurt, which contains probiotics that improve lipid metabolism, the duo actually supports cardiovascular health instead of harming it. For athletes, this pair provides double benefit. Greek yogurt supplies quick-digesting whey protein for muscle repair and slow-digesting casein for long-term recovery. Eggs provide complete protein plus fat-soluble vitamins. Together, they strengthen bones, muscles, and recovery after exercise. For older adults, this combination protects against osteoporosis. Bone density naturally declines with age. By eating Greek yogurt for calcium and eggs for K2, seniors can reduce fracture risk and maintain mobility. It is a natural, food-based approach rather than relying solely on supplements. To summarize, Greek yogurt gives calcium, protein, and probiotics. Egg yolks supply vitamin K2, vitamin D, and essential fatty acids. Calcium is the building material. K2 is the architect. Yogurt alone is incomplete. Egg alone is incomplete. But when eaten together, they create harmony. They strengthen bones, guard arteries, and nourish the whole body. This is why the simple pair of Greek yogurt and eggs can be called a perfect breakfast for bone and heart health. It is a scientific way to turn everyday foods into a healing combination. Bone health is often thought of as something only dairy can provide. But the truth is, nature has given us powerful plant sources of calcium too. One of the richest plant-based sources is chia seeds. These tiny black or white seeds may look small, but inside they are packed with nutrients that rival even milk. When paired with a strong vitamin K2 source like aged cheese, chia seeds create a harmony that builds bones, protects the heart, and supports the entire body. Let's start with chia seeds. 2 tablespoons of chia contain about 180 milligrams of calcium. That is nearly 20% of the daily requirement for an adult. But calcium is not the only gift here. Chia seeds also provide magnesium, phosphorus, and potassium, all of which play supporting roles in bone metabolism. Magnesium helps convert vitamin D into its active form, which allows the intestines to absorb calcium. Phosphorus works alongside calcium to form hydroxyapatite, the crystalline structure that gives bones their hardness. Potassium neutralizes acids in the body that could otherwise leach calcium from the skeleton. Chia seeds also contain omega-3 fatty acids in the form of alpha-lanolenic acid. Omega-3s reduce inflammation, which is important because chronic inflammation accelerates bone breakdown. They also support cardiovascular health by lowering triglycerides and improving endothelial function. The seeds are rich in soluble fiber. When mixed with water, they form a gel-like substance. This slows down digestion, keeps blood sugar stable, and supports gut bacteria. A healthy gut improves nutrient absorption, ensuring that the calcium in chia seeds is more effectively used by the body. But like all plant calcium, chia has one limitation. It does not contain vitamin K2. Without K2, the calcium from chia can be absorbed into the bloodstream but may not reach the bones efficiently. This is where aged cheese steps in as the perfect partner. Cheese is not only a source of calcium itself, but certain types, especially aged cheeses like Gouda, Edam, and Brie, are among the richest natural sources of vitamin K2. This form of K2 is called menaquinone 7, or MK7. Unlike MK4 from eggs, MK7 stays in the body longer and has a more sustained effect on calcium regulation. That means when you eat aged cheese, the K2 continues working for many hours, activating the proteins that direct calcium to the right places. Cheese also contains high-quality protein, particularly casein, which is slow-digesting and supports steady amino acid supply. This protein helps build the collagen framework in bones. Additionally, cheese provides phosphorus, zinc, and small amounts of vitamin A and D, all of which are cofactors in bone metabolism. Now let's talk about how these two foods act together. When you eat chia seeds, the calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus enter the bloodstream. At the same time, the fiber slows digestion, allowing gradual absorption. But without K2, much of this calcium could float aimlessly. When you also eat aged cheese, the vitamin K2 activates osteocalcin, the protein that locks calcium into bones. It also activates matrix Gley protein, which prevents calcium from sticking to artery walls. The result is a perfect system. Calcium from chia is directed by K2 from cheese straight into the skeleton and away from the arteries. Research supports this harmony. A Dutch study showed that people who consumed more vitamin K2 from cheese had a significantly lower risk of heart disease and arterial calcification. Another study published in Osteoporosis International found that MK7 supplementation improved bone mineral density and reduced bone loss in postmenopausal women. This proves that K2-rich aged cheese is not just a treat, but a protective food. Chia and cheese also balance each other in other ways. Chia provides plant omega-3s, which are anti-inflammatory. Cheese provides saturated fats and K2, which are often missing from modern diets. Together, they create a balance of fatty acids that supports both bone and cardiovascular health. For someone who avoids dairy milk but still wants strong bones, chia seeds are an excellent option. But pairing them with aged cheese ensures the calcium does not go to waste. A breakfast like chia seed pudding topped with grated Gouda or a salad sprinkled with chia seeds and cheese cubes is more than just delicious. It is a scientifically balanced, bone-building meal. Active ingredients are working at every step. From chia, calcium, magnesium, omega-3s, and fiber. From cheese, vitamin K2, protein, and phosphorus. The calcium strengthens bone structure. Magnesium activates vitamin D and supports energy metabolism. Omega-3s reduce inflammation in joints and bones. Fiber supports gut absorption. Meanwhile, K2 acts as the director, activating osteocalcin and matrix Gley protein, so calcium is deposited into bones, not arteries. Protein and phosphorus in cheese reinforce the bone matrix. In practical terms, this means fewer fractures, stronger joints, and reduced risk of heart problems. It means that calcium from a plant-based source finds its true purpose with the help of a traditional dairy product. So chia seeds alone are powerful, but chia seeds plus aged cheese are transformative. They create a partnership where one provides the raw materials and the other gives direction and control. This combination is proof that nature designed foods to work together, not in isolation. In simple words, chia is the builder, and aged cheese is the guide. Together, they form a duo that strengthens bones, supports the heart, and fuels long-term health. When people think of bone health, their mind usually goes to dairy products or supplements. But some of the most powerful nutrient combinations for strong bones and healthy arteries come from foods that are often overlooked. One such pair is liver, a rich source of vitamin K2 combined with leafy greens like kale or spinach, which provide calcium, magnesium, and a wealth of antioxidants. Together, they form a perfect partnership that strengthens bones, protects the cardiovascular system, and nourishes the entire body. Let's begin with leafy greens. Spinach, kale, collard greens, and turnip greens are some of the richest plant sources of calcium. 1 cup of cooked kale, for example, provides about 100 milligrams of calcium. While this is less than a cup of yogurt, it is still significant, especially for people who prefer plant-based foods. But greens also deliver magnesium, which is essential for converting vitamin D into its active form, ensuring that calcium is absorbed and properly used. They contain potassium, which buffers acid load in the body, preventing calcium from being leached out of bones. And they provide vitamin C, which supports collagen formation, the soft framework of bone tissue on which calcium and phosphorus are deposited. Leafy greens are also rich in vitamin K1. This form of vitamin K helps with blood clotting, but it can be partially converted into vitamin K2 in the gut by beneficial bacteria. However, the conversion is limited and not reliable for everyone, which is why external sources of K2 are still important. That is where liver comes in. Liver, especially from chicken or beef, is one of the densest nutrient foods on Earth. It contains large amounts of vitamin K2, particularly in the MK4 form. MK4 is quickly taken up by tissues and works almost immediately to activate the proteins that guide calcium. But liver offers far more than K2. It is loaded with vitamin A in the form of retinol, which is vital for vision, immunity, and proper cell growth. It provides iron in a highly absorbable form called heme-iron, which supports red blood cell production and prevents anemia. It contains folate and B12, which are crucial for DNA synthesis and energy metabolism. And it offers trace minerals like copper and zinc, both of which play roles in bone and connective tissue strength. When you combine liver with leafy greens, something powerful happens inside the body. The calcium and magnesium from the greens are absorbed into the bloodstream. The vitamin C supports collagen formation, creating the scaffold for bone. Meanwhile, the vitamin K2 from the liver activates osteocalcin, the protein that binds calcium to this scaffold. At the same time, matrix Glay protein is activated in arteries, preventing calcium from depositing in vessel walls. The result is that calcium is directed away from the heart and kidneys and toward the skeleton and teeth. Research supports this synergy. Japanese studies have shown that MK4 supplementation from animal sources like liver improves bone mineral density and lowers fracture risk, especially in older women. The Rotterdam study, one of the largest long-term population studies, demonstrated that people who consumed more vitamin K2 had much lower rates of arterial calcification and heart disease. Leafy greens, on the other hand, are consistently linked to stronger bones in population studies. Women who eat more kale, spinach, and broccoli have lower risks of osteoporosis and fractures. So when these foods are eaten together, they provide both the raw building blocks and the guidance system. Let's talk about their active ingredients in more detail. From greens, calcium strengthens bones. Magnesium ensures calcium is metabolized properly and prevents spasms in muscles. Potassium protects bone density by lowering acid stress. Vitamin C builds collagen. Antioxidants like lutein and beta-carotene reduce oxidative damage in tissues. From liver, vitamin K2 directs calcium. Vitamin A supports the immune system and vision. Iron fuels hemoglobin and oxygen delivery. B vitamins like folate and B12 keep DNA and nerve cells functioning. Zinc and copper help enzymes that strengthen connective tissue and cartilage. This combination not only protects bones, but also supports energy and vitality. The iron and B vitamins in liver prevent anemia, which means more oxygen is delivered to tissues, improving stamina. The antioxidants in greens protect against chronic inflammation, which is linked to bone breakdown and cardiovascular disease. So the pair of liver and leafy greens is not just about bones, it is about full-body resilience. For someone looking for practical meal ideas, think of sautéed liver served with steamed kale or spinach, or a salad of leafy greens with small pieces of cooked liver. It may not be a common meal in modern households, but historically, this was a staple food combination. Traditional cultures valued organ meats and greens because they intuitively knew these foods nourished the body deeply. Some people are hesitant about eating liver because of its strong taste. But with proper cooking, like marinating in lemon or pairing with onions, it becomes both tasty and highly nutritious. And unlike supplements, where nutrients are isolated, food combinations provide a full spectrum of cofactors that the body naturally uses together. So, when we combine liver with leafy greens, we are bringing together two nutrient powerhouses. The calcium, magnesium, and vitamin C from greens create the bone framework. The vitamin K2 from liver makes sure calcium enters that framework and not the arteries. Iron and B vitamins from liver provide energy and resilience, while antioxidants from greens protect the body from damage. It is a synergy of plant and animal nutrition, working in perfect balance. In simple words, greens are the suppliers, and liver is the director. Together, they build strong bones, protect the heart, and fuel the entire body. When it comes to calcium, most people think of milk, cheese, or supplements. But one of the richest and most natural sources is often overlooked: sardines eaten with their bones. These small fish are loaded with bioavailable calcium, along with other key nutrients like vitamin D and omega-3 fatty acids. When paired with grass-fed butter, which supplies vitamin K2, they create one of the most powerful food combinations for bone and heart health. Let's start with sardines. A 100-gram serving of sardines, when eaten with the soft, edible bones, provides more than 300 milligrams of calcium. That is almost one-third of the daily requirement. But calcium is just the beginning. Sardines are also rich in phosphorus, which works hand in hand with calcium to form hydroxyapatite, the crystalline structure that makes bones strong and hard. They contain vitamin D, a critical nutrient that increases the absorption of calcium from the intestines into the bloodstream. Without vitamin D, much of the calcium we eat would simply pass through the body unused. Sardines are also packed with omega-3 fatty acids, particularly EPA and DHA. These long-chain omega-3s have powerful anti-inflammatory effects. Chronic inflammation accelerates bone breakdown, leading to osteoporosis. By calming inflammation, omega-3s protect bone tissue and also support cardiovascular health, lowering triglycerides and keeping blood vessels flexible. Protein is another gift from sardines. The amino acids in fish protein help build collagen, which is the soft matrix that supports calcium crystals inside bones. Collagen acts like steel rods inside concrete. It gives bones flexibility and prevents fractures even under stress. Now let's look at grass-fed butter. Unlike regular butter, butter from grass-fed cows is much richer in vitamin K2. This form of K2 is mostly MK4, which acts quickly inside tissues to activate proteins that regulate calcium. Vitamin K2 turns on osteocalcin, the protein that locks calcium into bones and teeth. It also activates matrix Gley protein, which prevents calcium from being deposited in arteries, kidneys, and other soft tissues. Without K2, calcium from sardines could end up in the wrong places, increasing the risk of kidney stones or vascular calcification. With K2, it is directed to exactly where it is needed. Grass-fed butter also provides vitamin A in its natural form, retinol, which supports vision, immunity, and tissue repair. It contains small amounts of vitamin D, which works synergistically with calcium. And it provides healthy fats that improve the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. This means that when you eat sardines with butter, the fat helps your body actually absorb more of the vitamin D and K2. Now, let's imagine this combination at work in the body. You eat sardines with their bones. The calcium, phosphorus, protein, and vitamin D enter the bloodstream. At the same time, omega-3s reduce inflammation, creating a healthier environment for bone formation. Then you eat grass-fed butter. The vitamin K2 activates osteocalcin and matrix Gley protein, guiding calcium into bones and keeping it out of arteries. The healthy fats in butter enhance absorption of both vitamin D and K2, amplifying the effect. Research supports this synergy. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people with higher vitamin K2 intake had lower risks of hip fractures and artery calcification. Another study showed that omega-3 fatty acids improve bone density by reducing bone resorption, the process where old bone is broken down. Together, these findings prove that sardines and grass-fed butter are not just ordinary foods, but therapeutic combinations. Active ingredients are working on multiple levels. From sardines, calcium strengthens bone hardness. Phosphorus locks into calcium to form hydroxyapatite. Vitamin D increases calcium absorption. Omega-3s lower inflammation, protecting bone and heart. Protein builds collagen, giving bones flexibility. From butter, vitamin K2 directs calcium into bones, preventing artery calcification. Vitamin A supports immunity and tissue repair. Healthy fats increase absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. The result is a synergy that supports skeletal health, cardiovascular protection, and overall vitality. In practical terms, this can be as simple as spreading a little grass-fed butter on whole-grain toast and serving it with sardines on the side, or using melted butter as a topping on sardines baked in the oven. It may sound unusual at first, but this combination brings together land and sea nutrition in a way that balances perfectly inside the body. For older adults, this pairing is especially important. Age naturally decreases bone density and increases the risk of artery calcification. Sardines supply calcium and omega-3s, while butter provides the K2 guidance system. Together, they prevent both osteoporosis and cardiovascular disease, two of the biggest health risks of aging. For children and young adults, the combination supports growth, strong bones, and healthy teeth. For athletes, it supports recovery, joint health, and muscle strength. It is a universal food synergy that works across all ages. So when you think of calcium, don't just think of dairy or pills. Think of whole foods that provide both the mineral and the guiding vitamin. Sardines with bones give you the raw materials. Grass-fed butter provides the direction. One builds, the other guides. Together, they create a body that is strong, flexible, and protected. In simple words, sardines are the builder, and butter is the architect. When they work as a team, bones become denser, arteries stay clear, and the body thrives in balance. So here's the truth. Calcium alone can be dangerous. It can harden arteries, cause kidney stones, and even raise the risk of heart attack. But when calcium meets its guiding partner, vitamin K2, everything changes. Bones grow stronger, teeth stay solid, and arteries remain clear. That's why these powerful food pairs, egg with Greek yogurt, chia seeds with aged cheese, liver with nuts, and sardines with grass-fed butter, are more than just meals. They are natural medicines designed by nature. If you want to protect your bones, heart, and future health, don't just think calcium plus K2. And if this helped you today, share it with someone you care about, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more science-based health stories that can change lives.